Lewis Hart for the Ring magazine. Delighted to join with Eddie Hearn here. Just concluded the press conference for Johnny Fisher against Dave Allen, as well as Dalton Smith returning as well in Sheffield. Eddie, good to see you. How's things?
Yeah, good. Bit tired. I was in New York for a few hours and back for this press conference, and off to Orlando next week for Berlanga, Ammo, Amari Jones, and then straight to Sydney for Kambosos against Jordan, Sky Nicholson against Tiara Brown, Shanika Johnson against Nina Hughes, Tara Moana and others. And then we're back. Pat Brown in Altrincham, next gen card. And then we're going to April, which is wild. Boots Stanionis, Dalton Smith and Josh Warrington, and Padley and Ishmael Davis in Sheffield. Conor Benn against Chris Eubank the week after. And then we're doing the Times Square event May 2nd. Yeah. Got Canelo the day after that. I think we're in Mexico, and then we're in Copperbox for Allen against Fisher. Yeah, non-stop. So, but pleased to get these two announced. Obviously, particularly the heavyweight rematch. Got a lot of people talking, and it's going to be a wild night at the Copperbox.
I was going to say that, just touch on that there. For both fighters taking the fight, the December fight was marred in controversy, so it makes for a real interesting fight, especially for Johnny as well. First time really dealing with that sort of certain adversity and people doubting him.
Yeah, I mean, everything's been pretty straightforward for Johnny Fisher throughout his career so far. You know, he's been boxing really well, he's been demolishing people. Babbage was the one before, and then all of a sudden in Riyadh, you know, things got very tough and very real. And, you know, he perforated his eardrum in, I think, the third round, got dropped, never really recovered, and won a close decision that a lot of people thought he didn't win. And from there, you know, all the love and support kind of changes, and then you're thinking, what's going on here? I've just given my heart and soul, and now I'm being abused.
Yeah.
And I think at that moment, probably the family's whole thought was just like, it's like a resistance of, right, we ain't fighting Dave Allen anymore. You know, he starts saying a few things, and no, we don't need him, we won. And then that's when you need a bit of time and some calm, sensible people, like his dad, like Adam Morley, like Mark Tibbs, who just say, look, we've got a tough decision here. We can have one in between, or we can go straight back into it. And look, when that decision was read out, for me, within 2 seconds, I'm thinking, this rematch is massive.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to support Johnny in whatever he wants to do. And he was ultimately the one that has to pull the trigger and go, I want the rematch. And it's great for the sport. Who wants to watch one in between? Sling them back in for another brilliant heavyweight fight, and this time it'll be wild.
Yeah, a little bit precious time, so I'll quickly move on to a massive topic that I'm sure every single person's asked you today, but obviously a couple of days ago, announcement of His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, Dana White and Nick Khan, TKO with the new boxing league. Obviously still unclear what is to happen, but it was rumoured for some time. But what were your initial thoughts on the announcement and the reception that it received as well?
Yeah, I think probably known about it, I mean, over 6 months, and the last kind of 3 months just really waiting for the announcement. I don't know too much about the structure. You know, it's had a mixed reception. I've had a lot of phone calls. Did you hear this? Did you hear what they said? Blah, blah. And I'm like, for me, I think it's great for boxing. Like, if you're going to see Dana White, TKO, the reason they're getting involved in boxing is because boxing's red hot. I don't agree necessarily with the whole, you know, narrative of boxing's broken, it needs to be fixed. I disagree. I think boxing's red hot. It's always been red hot. His Excellency's made it even hotter. And whilst it's not broken, there are definitely tweaks that can be made to make it more fan-friendly and more appealing to the fan base. Whether that's a league format or whatever that concept is, great. You know, if it's something that they want us involved with, we'll look at it. If not, we'll continue with Riyadh season and Ring Magazine events, and if we don't do that, we'll just continue with what we're always doing, which is being the biggest in the world and doing about 35 events globally. So I have a good relationship with Dana, great relationship with His Excellency. You know, we'll see how it plays out.
I was going to ask you that. Like, is there a point where you are worried? Because Dana was quite aggressive in terms of, you know, we'll crush every boxing promotion.
Yeah, but that's Dana. And even His Excellency, didn't he say he's going to put all the promoters on Alcatraz Island? Make a good TV show. But listen,
comes up first?
He'll video me and him sitting in his lounge telling me I'm finished and I need to go to snooker and boxing, so darts. So for me, I don't know, maybe I'm a little bit deluded. I'm, in my opinion, the best boxing promoter in the world. We've got the biggest boxing business in the world. We're the only global promotional company. We've got huge TV contracts. And we're in a great place. But, of course, you know, I think the best way to say it is, if we are asked to get involved in a concept that we believe in, with people like Dana White and Turki Al-Sheikh, would we be up for that? Absolutely. If there's a fight, we're also up for that as well. But I don't believe, a lot of that is narrative that's spun by people in the industry. Ultimately, we're all working together for the good of the sport.
Yeah. Because in the UK, the boxing sort of is pretty standard. It's pretty, the structure is pretty standard. It's been going for quite a few years. Do you think something like this was needed in America, something that would shake up a little bit? I know you promote globally, but...
Not really. I don't know until we know what it is.
Yeah.
Does a league format work? It's been looked at before, but this is a bit different. This is the financial input of Saudi Arabia and Dana White and a very powerful company in TKO, Nick Khan, very influential, bright people. But I only read the press release which kind of said about building fighters. I don't know if it's a league for those younger fighters to be built on, and they've got a great platform there, or other fighters are going to be involved again. But you can bet your life that it's going to be big. Like, it's not, you don't get people like that just go, oh, we'll just do something small. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what it is, how it plays out, how it could benefit our fighters and us. And if not, we keep cracking on with what we're doing.
Last few from myself. Caroline Dubois fights tonight, and she done an interview with Coogan at IFL, and I mentioned your name. Said you don't really seem to care about women's boxing anymore. Didn't know if I had a reaction to what Caroline was saying there.
Yeah, I mean, I find it funny that I like to pat myself on the back, but I think without me, women's boxing, I'm not saying it would be non-existent, but I was the only one that took a chance on it. And I've built women's boxing to the point of seeing, these great fighters and athletes make, huge paydays and get great opportunities. And I'm not looking for a pat on the back. Yeah. Am I interested anymore? I think that there's a massive saturation of women's boxing to a level where it's not all as appealing as each other. And we have to make sure that we put on fights that are appealing, that are commercially viable, and people want to see. I think the top level of the sport is thriving, of women's boxing. I think the middle level of the sport is struggling a little bit. And then I think you've got the more cost-effective stuff, like in men's boxing, of 10-round championship prospects. That's fine. But I feel like some fighters have a commercial value, same as the men. It has no regard of male or female. It's just that in boxing, some people draw eyeballs and some people put bums on seats and some people don't. Male or female, that doesn't really matter. I think Caroline Dubois is a tremendous fighter. All I said was, she said she's the best in the world. She says she can beat everybody. I've got the other champion, which I said, you can fight her. We don't even need a purse. Yeah. And someone's having a go at me about it. It's like, well, we can build that up into a massive fight. Well, okay, but if you really thought you'd win and you could win now, you'd do it now, because she needs that kind of fight. And I'm not going to start talking about her commercial value, but the reality is she needs a big fight to raise that value, and she's a great fighter. She really is. And I said to, Shalom said, "Oh, you coming tonight?" I said, I'm not around tonight, but I think it's a really good card, and I think it's great for women's boxing. I've never been into doing all-female cards, never done one once, because for me it's not about that. It's not about women's boxing and men's boxing. They have to coexist together, and I've never been a fan. I remember once I said to Katie Taylor, I want to do an all-female fight card on International Women's Day. And she went, not for me, thank you. She thought it was a gimmick and she didn't like it. She wants opportunity for fighters, female fighters, but she wants it on a level playing field. Not them and us. You coexist together as a commercial, valued fighter.
Yeah. Eddie, always a pleasure, mate. Really appreciate your time.
Cheers, thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.